Greetings and shalom to my brothers and sisters in Messiah Yeshua who have his testimony and guard his commandments. Brother Nick here, and today is the 6th day of the 11th month, January 23rd, 2022. This video is being recorded from Cairo, Egypt, and I hope that you are all doing well despite the psychological operation that's all going on throughout the whole entire earth. This video is the 70th Jubilee is coming soon. So prepare your hearts because the 70th Jubilee is coming soon. And that means that it really is the end of the world or this age, or towards the end of this world and this age. And we are not of this age or this world. It belonged to Satan, but the new age to come is the age in the world of Messiah Yeshua's kingdom here on earth, the age of his Messiah, and it will be and it will come on the 70th Jubilee. So that means that there could be a final 3.5 year period, pre-70th Jubilee tribulation period of 3.5 years that could start around spring 2022, and I'm making this video to take a look at that. So if you haven't watched my previous video, this one right here, Jubilee Year Restored, the 70th Jubilee is coming soon, you need to watch this video from over 3 months ago. It's too important of a video. It is a game changer when it comes to Bible prophecy because I interpret Daniel 9:24 not as being 70 weeks, but being 70 Jubilees. And you need to take a look at this. I also line up Matthew 18 verses 22 to 23 as well. So you need to take a look at that video because in it, not only do I interpret Daniel 9 chapter 24 as being 70 Jubilees, I also restore the Jubilee count based off of Ezekiel chapter 40 verse 1. And I do it because there's two clues in Ezekiel chapter 40 verse 1. And we can take the destruction of the temple of Jerusalem by the Babylonians, and from there we can find out when the Jubilee year is and thus restore the count, and we can know when the next Jubilee is, and it's going to also be the 70th Jubilee. I can't emphasize it enough. If you haven't watched this video, you need to watch it. If you haven't watched it twice, you need to watch it twice. Okay? You need to share the video. You need to get the word out because it's too important of an interpretation for the body of Messiah not to have at the end of the age that we're currently in, especially considering the psychological operation that's going on throughout the earth. So in that video, I explained that Daniel 9:24 is really 70 Jubilees and not 70 weeks. And this has perplexed many scholars for thousands of years, as everyone believes that it's 70 weeks, but it's really 70 Jubilees, as the true interpretation has been hidden from the masses for ages. Now, Jeremiah understood it, Daniel understood it, Yeshua understood it, Paul possibly understood it, now we understand it. It's 70 Jubilees is when everything is going to end, as I will explain here coming up. So here I am on Bible Hub, and you can look at all the times it's been translated as 70 weeks. Looks like over 32 translations have translated 70 weeks are decreed, 70 weeks are determined, 70 weeks are apportioned, 70 weeks are decreed, 70 weeks have been determined. So all of these translations have 70 weeks. A lot of people have determined that these are 7 weeks, but they're actually seven periods of 7 years, which is a 49-year Jubilee cycle. So it says 70 weeks, Sabuim, and that Sabuim is a period of 7 days or years, but it also could be a week of years, which is a Jubilee period. As I demonstrated in this video that you need to watch a second time, a third time, and you need to share it with whoever you know that are believers in Messiah Yeshua so they understand that the 70th Jubilee is coming up. So, as I explained, another type of 7 not mentioned in the Strong's definition of a heptad of weeks of years is a heptad of weeks of years, which is 7 weeks of 7 years, which is 49 years, which is actually one Jubilee cycle. So Daniel 9:24 is speaking really of 70 Jubilees. And in this video, I explained that the 70 Jubilees is the same 70 Jubilees Messiah Yeshua prophesied of when the kingdom of Eloah is going to come to earth in Matthew chapter 18, verses 22 to 23. So I really suggest that you watch this video if you haven't seen it. Watch it again. Watch it a third time. Share it with everybody that you know, because it's too important not to, and it's a shame that you haven't done so if you've already watched the video. And am I putting a guilt trip on you? I am, because it's too important to not share. I got it for free and I shared it with you for free. Now it's your job to share it, and it's too important not to share the information in this video right there. So now that we understand that the correct interpretation is 70 Jubilees are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to do what? To finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make atonement for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. So here we see finishing and ending, making atonement, bringing in a new age, the age of everlasting righteousness, sealing up the vision and the prophecy, so everything else has been completed, and then to anoint the most holy. That's what 70 Jubilees is determined. This is the end. So if that is the end, then there has to be a time period before the end, possibly, for all of this to happen. Then there should be a time period possibly before the end, the 70th Jubilee, where things that all of the prophecies in the vision need to play out and to be finished, so the finishing of the transgression can happen, and making an end of sins can happen, and making atonement for iniquity can happen. And that's what's going to happen on the 70th Jubilee. So again, if this is the end of the age, 924, the 70th Jubilee is the end of the age and the beginning of the new age, that means that there should be a period before the end of the age for things to wrap up here, which is probably like a 3.5-year tribulation. That's how I understand it right now. A second scenario could be that the 70th Jubilee is the beginning of the end. So there's one scenario that has a time period of the end before the 70th Jubilee, which is the beginning of the next age, or a second scenario would be the 70th Jubilee being the end of the old age and the beginning of a new age, and judgment to happen at the beginning of that new age. It's been a very big challenge to try to understand and interpret the end time scenarios now that we understand there is a 70th Jubilee, and how to build out the scenarios around the 70th Jubilee. And in my last video, I explained when the 70th Jubilee is. I give a range of dates of either 2023, 2024, or 2025 on when the 70th Jubilee will occur. It's extremely difficult trying to pinpoint the date as far as the dating of years that we have. In that video, based off of 3 chronologists, David Roll, Robert Young, and Edwin Thiel, of the destruction of Jerusalem, I provided a possibility of when the next Jubilee is going to be. Now, there was an error. I posted this comment that I heard in an interview that David Roll adheres to the Exodus date of spring 1446 BC and not spring 1447 as an incorrect Google search result I pulled down. So here is a screenshot of the Google search result that I took regarding David Roll. It said that in 1447 is around when he placed the Exodus, but that's incorrect. He had the Exodus at 1446, and that means that he had the entrance into Canaan in 1407. So this is the old dates. David Roll has now been corrected, and David Roll and Roger Young, their dates of chronology as far as the entry into Canaan and the Exodus, and then the 40 years later, the entry into Canaan, they line up. And also the fall of Jerusalem would line up of a 588 to 587 BC fall of Jerusalem. So now there are only two dates for the fall of Jerusalem, a 587 BC fall and then a 586 BC fall of Edwin Teale. And based off of those two, we now, instead of having 3 possible years for the next and 70th Jubilee, we now have 2 possible years as David Roll and Roger Young both produce a year of Jubilee of 2024 to 2025, while Edwin Teale has a 2025 to 2026 year of Jubilee based on his dating of the destruction of the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. So there you have it. There's 2 possible years for the next Jubilee, which is also the 70th Jubilee. You have fall 2024 to 2025, or you have fall Yom Kippur 2025 to 2026. So you have a 587 BC destruction of Jerusalem, or you have a 586 BC destruction of Jerusalem. And like I said, this is the 70th Jubilee from when the Israelites entered the Promised Land. And if you watched my previous video, I had this column right here, which is from, this was David Roll's, this was Roger Young's, this was Edwin Teale's dates. And now that David Roll and Roger Young have the same date, I'm now going to delete column A. And now you have 2 possibilities for when the 70th Jubilee is. And we can now count 70 Jubilees. That's the Jubilee that Ezekiel received his vision on. And you keep counting here, and you get the next 70th Jubilee is either going to be 2024 in the fall, which is Yom Kippur 2024, or Yom Kippur 2025. It all depends, but this is when the 70th Jubilee is going to be, and this is when the land is going to be restored back to the Israelites, and Yeshua is going to forgive 70 times 7? No, 70 Jubilees. 70 Jubilees he's going to have and make his forgiveness. Hallelujah. So, that brings into the next one of the chronology and dating of our Gregorian years. And that's now kind of tricky because so much relies on being accurate with our year. Is it really year 2022 AD? Is the Gregorian years accurate? And that was a question asked by Spirit Wind. He left a comment on my video, said very interesting regarding the 70th Jubilee. Now, if we only know what year it really was and is, regardless, we must be in the season. And I agree, we are in the season. Whether it be 2024 or 2025, I think we're right there. And that's what I said, exactly. That is why I used several dates to provide a backstop to the season. And I suppose the Gregorian year of 2022 is now correct, or we're close to being correct as it can be. I guess in my mind that maybe there could have been 1 or 2 years that wasn't synchronized correctly in our dating of years to get the true date year that we're in. I went back to look at some of the records on how we have the year 2022. And the Gregorian years that we have are part of the Anno Domini system that came about. But the Gregorian years came from the Julian years, and the Julian years came from the Roman consular years. And you have a lot of synchronisms that you have to do that were done to sync the Roman consular years. The Gregorian years, Gregorian year 2022, is the Gregorian calendar year. And it was introduced by Pope Gregory VIII as a minor modification of the Julian calendar. And the Julian calendar years were proposed by Julius Caesar, who in 46 BC, which was AUC 708, it was a reform of the Roman calendar. And it took place in 45 BC by edict. And the Julian year was previously the Roman consular year, and the Roman calendar or the Roman consular year, was with the traditional founding of the Roman Republic, and the years were dated by the consulships, AUC or AVC, to express the date of the year. And this started around 753 BC, and the Romans kept pretty good records of their calendar years. So we can say that the Julian year, the Gregorian year, it seems about right. It seems about correct. And there's been a lot of acupoints and coordination and synchronizations that have happened. There's also astronomy chronology and then astronomy dating, and we have records. So with all that being said, is it really year 2022 or Julian year? Actually, this at the time was 2021, is now January 2022. So it's Julian year 2775. That's what year it possibly is now. So is it fair to say that this is coming up on the 70th Jubilee? I believe so, or I believe we're at least in that season as Spirit Wind messaged in his comment. So now let me talk about some more about some end-time tribulation scenarios based on the 70th Jubilee. Because Daniel 9:24 talks about making an end of sins and bringing in everlasting righteousness, which means it seems to me that this is when like the tribulation period is going to wrap up on the 70th Jubilee. Now, there's not enough time right now. If the 70th Jubilee is in 2024 or in 2025, there's not enough time for a 7-year scenario, a false scenario that Christianity, end-time scenario that Christianity has adopted on bad interpretations. So as I said, of the only 2 possible years for the next and 70th Jubilee, these 2, okay, there's only a couple of scenarios that possibly can happen. So again, we are right here. This is 2022, it's what, January 23rd, so we're like right here. And of this scenario of a 2024, fall right here, 2025, based on a 587 BC destruction of Jerusalem, there's not a lot of time, there's not 3.5 years, there's less than 3 years until the 70th Jubilee. So you can't even fit, not let alone a 7-year period, you can't even get a 3.5-year period in this time period, 3.5-year tribulation, prior to making an end of sin and bringing in everlasting righteousness and sealing up the vision and anointing the most holy. Under this time period of a 2024 to 2025 Jubilee scenario, there's not enough time for the 1,260 days, which is 42 months, which is also 3.5 years, to happen. Now, based on a 2025 start to the 70th Jubilee year, right here, from Yom Kippur 2025 through Yom Teruah 2026, that Jubilee year would be based on a 586 BC destruction of Jerusalem. And we are here. We are right after year 2022. It's January. It just happened. And under this scenario, if it's out here, we have actually 3.5 years. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, plus a half year, which means that the 3.5 year tribulation would start, if there is a 3.5 year tribulation, which is what I lean to, 1,260 days in the wilderness, or a 42-month tribulation, it would happen in spring of 2022. So under this scenario right here, it will allow enough time for a 1,260 day flight into the wilderness and a 1,260 days preaching of the 2 witnesses that they're going to start right here in spring 2022. Possibly the spring equinox, maybe the 10th day of the first month, maybe on Passover, the night of Passover as well. So that's how I see the possible situation of the 70th Jubilee to start here of 2025. This kind of makes me, I'm more comfortable with this, that it's not going to just be status quo going into the 70th Jubilee, that the 1,260 days or the 42 months or the 3.5 years have to happen prior to make an end of sins, okay, to bring in everlasting righteousness. And remind you that this is determined upon the holy city, and the holy city has to be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles for that last 3.5 years, the 1,260 days, that they get to trample the holy city to finish the transgression of the holy city, to make an end of sins, and to make atonement for iniquity. That's for Israel, to bring in everlasting righteousness. That's the Messianic age, to seal up the vision and prophecy. That means all the prophecies we had that were prophesied before were now completed and sealed up. They're completed. And then also to anoint the most holy. So that is Daniel 9:24, and that's upon thy people and upon thy holy city, Jerusalem. So the Gentiles have to trample Jerusalem, I understand, for 42 months, which is for 1,260 days, and then the finishing of the transgression and making an end of the sins, and then making atonement for iniquity will happen, which happens here on the 70th Jubilee on Yom Kippur. So that means that the city is going to be trampled down for 1,260 days. It's already been trampled down by the Goyim. We all know that the Jewish people are the Goyim that say that they're Jewish, but they're lying because they are really descendants of converts, and the land needs to be cleansed as well. So there's a lot that looks like it has to happen. I don't understand completely on how it's going to fit in this complete scenario, but this is how I currently understand it at this moment. And the 70 Jubilees is the correct interpretation to make an end of sins and to do that. So now, here's the situation. What year are we currently in, and what Shemitah cycle did the Revelation 12 sign occur? That's the next question. Did it happen in the 7th year of the last Shemitah cycle? And that would allow for year 1, 2, 3, 4. We're halfway through. About halfway through the 7-year period. Halfway point will be spring equinox, or the day after spring equinox 2022. Just in a month and a half, 2 months from now. A 7-year period. And as you can see right here, during the middle of this 4th year, the 3.5 years into this period would be the last 3.5 years left up to the 70th Jubilee. So that means that the Revelation 12 sign would have happened in the Sabbath year of the last previous Shemitah cycle. And we are now in the last Shemitah cycle, which started in fall of 2018 all the way up to fall of 2025, when that Shemitah cycle will end, and then the new Shemitah cycle starts, the first year, which is also the first year of the next 49-year count, which is also the 50th year of this count. You see 49, so 46, 47, 48, 49, and year 50 of the Jubilee cycle, which is also the first year of the next Jubilee cycle. So hallelujah. So that's how I currently lean. I lean that this sign happened here, which will tie into another video that I have coming up regarding Daniel's prophecy, and the entrance of Messiah the Prince should have happened sometime in 2018 to 2019, should have appeared in Jerusalem. I'll hopefully be, Yahweh willing, I live, and I can make a video on that and go from there. So brothers and sisters, here you have it. The 70th Jubilee is coming up. We're extremely close to it. We're extremely close possibly to the start of the final 3.5-year period, where the woman is going to escape into the wilderness, which means Messiah Yeshua said, hey, pray that you're counted worthy to escape all these things and that are coming upon the face of the earth. And those things could have been wars and rumors of wars. Remember, Messiah Yeshua said, hey, the end is not yet. And what is the end? The end is the 70th Jubilee, to make an end of sins. Okay? So the end is not yet. For nation has to rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There's going to be great great earthquakes, which is great seismos, in diverse places, and famines and pestilences. Now, great seismos can be nuclear bombs going off in the air and people fearing for seeing what they see coming down on the face of the earth, which would be nuclear war coming down on the face of the earth. When those bombs go off, they create seismic activity, which is great seismos, which Messiah Yeshua could have been prophesying of World War III, but the end is not yet. Okay, so you have to go through World War III, 1,260 days. Okay, the land has to be cleansed. There has to be judgment there on the land. And then we get Messiah Yeshua coming back for the 70th Jubilee to make an end of sin, to finish the transgression, to make the end of sins, to make an atonement for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. So that's the end. This is the end. And now that we understand what the end is, it's 70 Jubilees. We now have to kind of see what are the possible situations to fit this 70th Jubilee. So brothers and sisters, I hope that this is more for you to think about. I hope that you really think about what you're doing in your life, what's going on in your life, where your future is, what your future is, and where your future is, because it sure isn't in Babylon. So brothers and sisters, I hope that this gives you time to make your moves that you need to make. Pray that you're kind of worthy to escape what this escape could be. Could be a rapture door, okay, and a transportation. Woman's given 2 wings of an eagle. The eagle's wings, he bore up the Israelites with eagle's wings on the Passover. So we could have a big Passover coming up. So I hope that you brothers and sisters are blessed. And I'm signing off, and shalom from Cairo, Egypt. And shalom to all my brothers and sisters out there who have the testimony of Messiah Yeshua and guard his commandments. Shalom to you.